You have to put in more work to make sure that this employee stays employed with your company. Benefits. What does your benefits look like? Because benefits will make employees stay with the company. Employee engagement. And then you also want to go through culture. Maybe they might have an issue and you want to mitigate that issue so that they don't quit. Catered training is only for that position. Professional development should get them ready for career growth. Because if somebody feels like I have longevity in this position, my career can grow, they stay with the company longer. Hey y'all, this is Tamika, the face behind Heyyy HR, and I am so excited to come and talk to you guys today about
what the heck is the employee life cycle?
I know I have mentioned it a gazillion times in videos. I talk about it with my mentees, and you hear that term often. And so this video is to clarify what the employee life cycle is. If you want to know precisely what the employee life cycle is and how does it relate to HR, why is Tamika use it all the time, what does she use it, when is she using it, then definitely keep watching. The employee life cycle is several stages during an employee's employment with the company. Just that easy. All of the stages of an employee time period while they're employed or even before they become employed. So the employee life cycle traditionally starts with attraction, where the company has to almost market to employees. So that employees can not only find them, but be attracted enough that they want to actually apply to work with them. So it always starts with attraction. Most times that will be like a job board. Sometimes they may show like a video of a day in the life of a particular position. A lot of times that's their website. That's what their application looks like. How easy is it to fill in an application? How quick can people fill in an application? Where can they find this application? Is it on job boards? Is it just on their website? Are they sending out emails? Like all of the different ways that they would use to attract an employee to that company. So that's the first stage of the employee life cycle. The next stage of the employee life cycle is actual recruitment. So now that they've applied, I want to recruit them into the organization. Sometimes you can look at attraction as being a little part of the recruitment process because your recruitment process does include a lot of attraction. And so once you're recruiting them, you're literally going through, you're sourcing through those resumes, through those applications to see who fits the qualifications for this position. And then you want to start taking them through pretty much like your interview process. If that's a phone screening to start, if that's a test, if that is a personality assessment, if that is just looking through to make sure that their qualifications or their certifications are current, then you want to go through like interview 1, 2, maybe a homework assignment, maybe interview 3, and then you want to go to offer. So once you get to offer, you go through another part of the recruitment cycle, which is your pre-onboarding. So you may want to do a background screening, or you may need to verify certifications, or you may need to verify citizenship. You typically verify citizenship during onboarding, but some recruiting or staffing agencies will do it ahead of time. And so those are some of the things you do for pre-onboarding to make sure that, okay, this conditional offer that I've given you is now an official offer. Now we confirm the start date and get you ready for actual onboarding versus pre-onboarding. And pre-onboarding may include like a physical or drug assessment as well. But that's primarily a part of your background screening. And so the next phase in the employee life cycle is going to be actual onboarding. So that means this person has new hire paperwork, they're getting accesses to the system, they may be getting equipment or badges or name tags or whatever it may be to kind of get them where they have the same things as all of the other employees. And then through that onboarding, you may be informing them about the actual company as a whole, maybe each department, then more specifically their department, maybe company training that's done annually. Maybe you want to have them kind of partner with somebody for a couple of days. So you pretty much do your onboarding. Everybody's onboarding looks a little different, but onboarding just means you're taking them from being a person that's not employed with the company to someone that actually is employed with the company. And then what you want to do is you want to go into the phase of retention. And retention is an overall topic, right? It's an overall topic because I've already given you guys some overall topics when I talk about attraction, recruitment, and onboarding. Because remember in recruitment, I talked about onboarding, right? So recruitment is that overarching topic. And then you want to talk about the pre-onboarding. the background screenings, things like that. Well, retention is a little bit bigger because you have to put in more work to make sure that this employee stays employed with your company. And so your retention is going to include your benefits. What does your benefits look like? Because benefits will make employees stay with the company, right? Benefits really helps employees say, okay, cool, I'm gonna stay here longer. So your benefits can be academic reimbursement, is obviously your federally mandated ones like your medical insurance, as well as vision, life insurance, short-term, long-term disability, maybe life insurance for extended family members. It could be cell phone reimbursement, Wi-Fi reimbursement, fitness reimbursement. It can be so many different types of benefits, but some of these things you can consider perks as well, because maybe there are different things that not all employees get, but senior level employees get. So senior level employees can get like money from the company paid into employee stock options, maybe. Sometimes they can get like a higher level of commission. Sometimes they can get a higher amount repaid for their cell phone or their Wi-Fi, things like that. So your benefits really can be a myriad of things. That's where you can really use benefits to not only retain the employee, but also engage an employee. If you hear that employees feel like, man, we want pet insurance or we want ID insurance so that we can protect our identification or any of those things, you can add those into your benefits, and it also helps you with retaining that employee, but it also helps you keep them engaged because now they feel like, I really feel like I love this company because they really look out for me. Maybe back in onboarding, you sent them a really nice onboarding package. Okay, that's your first way of kind of getting them engaged because they just joined. Also want to go through training. You also want to go through employee engagement, and then you also want to go through culture. So those are some of the things that you do to retain an employee. Even employee relations, maybe they might have an issue and you want to mitigate that issue so that they don't quit. Retention is pretty much making that employee or getting that employee to stay employed and not leave the company. Then you want to go into your development. So sometimes your trainings are done with onboarding because those are your company-wide trainings, your standard trainings. Sometimes they're tied to regulations or legalities. But then you also have job-specific training. Not every company is going to offer a specific type of training where it's already structured the same for every single person. Sometimes it might include going in and out of training when you're going through this development process. And then you have your actual professional development. So this may be external resources that they can use to learn the job better. Or it might be some catered trainings only for that position. Or it might be going to a conference. It might be going to a seminar. It might be going to a one-day meeting. It can be several different things that you would do. Essentially, professional development should get them ready for career growth. So your career growth, those in your development part, is still technically a part of your retention, because if somebody feels like I have longevity in this position, my career can grow, they stay with the company longer. So in your development stage is when you're really kind of hyper-focused on that career growth. Is there another position they can have? Is the company getting bigger and we need more positions at a higher level than where they are now? Are they in a phase where they're really kind of struggling with their current role? So now I may need to teach them a little bit more. So now let's talk a bit about offboarding. And offboarding, that's just an employee separating from the company. So you can see how this employee life cycle goes into a full circle. And you can look at this visual right here and you can see that it can be revolving, right? Somebody can leave the organization and come back and they go right back through this cycle. Or somebody can go through this cycle but not fully. So maybe they go all the way through your retention and your development processes over and over again. It could be something almost annual that's changed for employees or that employee. But with your offboarding, that is literally an employee no longer being employed. And that may be a temporary separation, that may be a permanent separation. But traditionally, it's termination, where it's not voluntary. They're literally being told that they're no longer going to work there. They're literally being fired. Everybody likes to say fired. I typically say termination. But termination means you're not going to be working here anymore. Separation typically means it's voluntary. That employee has turned in a notice, or they may have turned in a resignation letter and given a notice. So they're separating from the organization altogether. And then lastly, the last part of offboarding is going to be your retirement. Maybe employees worked here so long or worked in their career so long that they decide they want to retire. So they fulfill that time for their retirement plan. They're probably already prepared for retirement. And so now they're not leaving to get fired. They're not leaving to quit and go to another company. They're not leaving to quit and start their own business. They're not leaving to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, they're leaving because they just feel like, I'm already done with working altogether. I'm retiring. So that's pretty much your entire employee life cycle. I have definitely used this term so often that I felt like I wanted to kind of go back to one-on-one and make sure everybody knows this part, because when you start elevating your career, this is what's going to help you understand which part of human resources you want to work in, right? Because now when you know each part of the employee life cycle, you need, the bigger the company gets or the more aggressive that company gets, you need a whole nother person that can specialize in these areas, right? All of these areas can be a specific job, and then they can have jobs embedded within them. So knowing the employee life cycle is going to be so helpful for you, because this is going to help you kind of get an idea of where you want to work with the employee. Do you want to work with them in the beginning of the employee life cycle when they're excited and just coming on board? Do you want to work in the middle of the employee life cycle when everybody knows everybody and now we can fix this because we already kind of know these personalities? Or do you want to work at the end of the employee life cycle where you're constantly talking to people about separation and their options when separating? So if this is your first time finding Hey HR, watching a Hey HR video, then I'm Samika. I am a human resources professional that's worked in my career for the last 12 years. And I started as an HR assistant and worked my way up to an HR director. Eventually became an HR consultant. Now I happily sit as a global human resources business partner in the tech industry. And I have not only an MBA, but also a master's in human resources management. And I have the highest level SHRM certification, which is the SHRM SCP. And so I eat and breathe HR. If you're looking for more HR information, then you definitely want to consider subscribing, because guess what? I have more human resources videos coming just for you. And so for those of you who are returning, I thank you so much for returning. And please do me a favor, put it in the comments if you have a video suggestion or have a question that you want me to clarify or make a video on. I'll be happy to add it to the list and get your answers to your questions. At the end of the day, I cannot wait to see you on the next video.